week 13 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few forwards I would look to add on waivers this week. The first guy is Kelly Alexander Walker of the New Orleans Pelicans. So Alexander Walker, the few times he started this season, we've seen him have a good scoring rate, and he could get a few steals and add a few threes as well. So Kelly Alexander Walker, obviously for him to have amazing fantasy value, there needs to be a trade or something in the next couple days here before the trade deadline on Thursday the 25th. And Kelly Walker on the season, he's ranked 203 in fantasy basketball, 8.9 points a game, 2.6 rebounds, 2 assists a game, 1.3 threes a game, a steal a game, 82% from the foul line, and 41% from the field. But the last couple weeks, he's ranked 118 in fantasy basketball, 12.2 points a game, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 2.2 threes a game, 43% from the field. So Kelly Walker, hopefully a trade does happen if you want to go out there and get him on your fantasy team, because this guy could produce. He could score the basketball, he could hit threes, and he could get a few steals as well. So the last 3 games for Kelly Alexander Walker: March 16th at Portland, 20 points, 5 rebounds, a steal, a block, and 6 3-pointers. Then March 18th at Portland, 6 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, a block, and 2 threes. And then March 21st at the Denver Nuggets, 20 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, 3 threes in that spot start he got. And he played 31 minutes with Lonzo Ball out. And Lonzo Ball, he's been a guy in the trade rumors the last few weeks now, and we'll see if it comes to fruition. But I definitely could see the Pelicans trading one of Eric Bledsoe or Lonzo Ball, who's a free agent after the season. And then Alexander Walker will have his opportunity to play and get some minutes. So Alexander Walker, I would wait and see one more game to see what's going on and see who gets traded at this deadline. So Alexander Walker, he's available still in 85% of fantasy leagues, but owners, they're going out there and getting him, adding him in 9% of leagues already. And he's the first forward to go out there and get. The second guy's Daniel House of the Houston Rockets. So the Rockets, the good news for them yesterday, they finally won a ball game. The first time in 21 games the Rockets won after losing a crazy 20 games in a row on the season. Daniel House, he's ranked 225 in fantasy basketball, 9.7 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.7 threes a game, 68% from the foul line and 40% from the field. And in the last couple weeks, he's bumped that ranking up to 170 with 12.8 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2.3 threes a game, 40% from the foul line, and a whopping 60% from the field. So House, he's on a hot streak. He's hitting the 3-point ball, and he's scoring the basketball at a good rate. And honestly, over there in Houston, they don't have many more options or veterans on this team. They're cleaning house. And now over the last season, they've traded Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Robert Covington, and P.J. Tucker. So it's a total overhaul in Houston. And right now, at this point of the season, they're trying to dump off Oladipo. We'll see if he gets dealt at the deadline. And they're just seeing what they have and who they could keep for next season. And Daniel House, the last few games, he's played major minutes, 35 minutes plus. March 19th versus Detroit, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. March 31st versus OKC, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 3 threes. And March 22nd last night versus Toronto, in a first victory for them in months, it seems like, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 threes. So House, he's going to help with rebounds, surprisingly. He's going to score the basketball at a decent pace, and obviously he's a 3-point shooter, and he's playing major minutes, like I said. And Houston, they don't have much there, so he's going to get the playing time, and he's available as well in 85% of fantasy leagues. And the next player to get on waivers this week at the forward position is Isaiah Roby of the OKC Thunder. So Isaiah Roby, he's starting to play more minutes, and the Thunder now, they're totally going with the youth movement here. And we've seen guys like Al Horford benched until maybe they find a trade partner for him or just sit him now the rest of the season. But anyway, Isaiah Roby on the season, he's ranked 149 here in fantasy basketball, 9 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 74% from the foul line, 53% from the field. But the last few weeks, he's ranked 113 in this time, 11.5 points a game, 6.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 90% from the foul line, and 50% from the field. So Roby, he's playing about 25 to 35 minutes a game range. And right now, the Thunder, like I said, they're going to play the young guys. Their team's pretty much out of it, even though they have won the last 2 games in a row versus teams that are worse than them, though, in Houston and then Minnesota in the last 3 games for Roby. March 18th at Atlanta, 8 points, 8 rebounds, and assists. March 21st at Houston, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. And March 22nd at the Minnesota Timberwolves, 9 points, 4 rebounds, a steal, a block, and a 3. So Roby, he could be a double-double type of player. He's playing the minutes like I mentioned, and he's available as well in 87% of fantasy leagues. So a lot of these forwards on the waiver wire this week, they're available in all 8-team and 10-team leagues for the most part. Maybe 12-team league and deeper, they're starting to get added. But I would add these guys. They're putting up stats. They're making some plays. And Roby, he's a pretty good ball player, in my opinion. And he still has time to develop for fantasy owners. And the Thunder this season, the next forward's Doug McDermott of the Indiana Pacers. So Dougie McBuckets, he's been pretty good this season for the Pacers. I know he's a 3-point shooter or nothing pretty much, but he's adding other parts to his ball game this season is McDermott. On the season, he's ranked 183 in fantasy basketball, 13.6 points a game, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.7 threes a game, 83% from the foul line, and 51% from the field for McDermott. But the last few weeks, he's ranked 104 in this time, 15.9 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 2 threes a game, a nice 90% from the foul line, and 56% from the field. So McDermott, he's getting pretty good playing time, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes a game. And the Pacers, they obviously need some scoring off the bench or even in the starting lineup at the forward position, where McDermott's bounced around a little between the two so far this season in the last 3 games for McDermott. March 19th at the Miami Heat, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 threes. March 21st at the Heat, once again, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a 3. And then last night in a blowout loss in Milwaukee, 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 threes. So McDermott, he's got a knack for scoring the basketball. And he's scoring anywhere from 15 to 18 points pretty much the last couple games. And he's also available in 84% of fantasy leagues. And he's definitely worth the pickup if you need some 3-point shooting, some scoring, and some good percentages at the foul line and from the field. And the 5th and final forward I've looked to add on waivers this week, SadIQ Bay of the Detroit Pistons. So Bay, he's been in some trade rumblings, but the Pistons, they didn't budge on an offer from the Minnesota Timberwolves a couple days ago. I believe the offer was Malik Beasley for SadIQ Bay in a first-round pick, but the Pistons, they're in rebuild mode. They don't want to take on big contracts, and there's going to be growing pains with the rookie Bay, obviously, but he's a player that you definitely should add off the wire. And the last couple weeks, he's been on the list. On the season, he's ranked 178, 10.5 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 2.2 threes a game, 87% from the foul line, and 40% from the field. But the last couple weeks, he's bumped the ranking up to 90 in the time with 14.2 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 2.7 threes a game, 94% from the foul line, and 38% from the field for Bay. So Bay, he's scoring the basketball, and we've seen some big games out of him. On March 17th, 28 points he had, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 6 threes. March 19th at Houston, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 threes. And then March 21st versus Chicago, it was an off day for him. 3 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 3. So Bay in those last 3 games, I think he shot over his head a little with the big games. But then he had a game where it's not like him to only score 3 points. And right now, he's playing major minutes for Detroit, about 35, 40 minutes a game almost here. And he's definitely worth the ad, and obviously he's a hot commodity if teams in the NBA are already trying to trade for the rookie. And there's going to be growing pains with him, but he's definitely worth the roster spot, in my opinion. In most to 10, 12 team leagues, he's going to score the basketball. He's had decent percentages for a rookie, and I think he could only get better from here. So that's a few forwards I look to add on the waiver wire here in Week 13 of the fantasy basketball season.